Welcome back to College Conversations. I'm Dr. Fedor, and I help you navigate college. Please remember to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with other students who may have similar interests. I have many students ask me, what is Chat GPT? So today I have with me Dr. Maja Zelihic, Dean of the Forbes School of Business and Technology at University of Arizona Global Campus. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Janice. It's a pleasure to be here.
So first of all, what exactly is Chat GPT?
Well, this is the thing, I'm not going to be the one to necessarily give you the best definition. It's an artificial intelligence chatbot. The company that actually built it is called the OpenAI. It was recently released. It was released only in November of 2022. I became aware of it as a user in, I think, probably January. So I was probably a bit late in reference to some other folks as far as discovering it. Here at the Forbes School of Business and Technology, we have a Forbes Business School advisory board. It consists of different thought leaders in different areas. They started talking about it heavily prior to us educators necessarily even fully being aware of it. It generates a human-like responses. So you can actually use it, and some people use it almost as a fully advanced search engine, Google engine, where you're actually asking AI to produce a response for you and answer certain prompts. It is not real time, because unlike the search engine that you use online, World Wide Web, of course, you are actually able to get stats for today. If you're looking for something, ChatGPT, my understanding is, and that changes every day, is that it has data up until 2021.
Okay.
So if you're looking for some of the most advanced medical knowledge, if you're looking for some most advanced discovery in the world of technology, you have to keep in mind that some of the data is as of 2 years ago. The way it played out with us, first I saw this chatter via email from our Forbes advisory board members. I just got interested in it. And as I started playing with it and I downloaded it on my phone, I started seeing some major universities raising a lot of noise and even banning it. At first, I got really surprised because sometimes we look up at those Ivy League prestigious universities for their guidance as to which way the educational industry is going to go. So that move surprised me. They were, I would say, reactive versus proactive. So they were overreacting a little bit, perceiving this as a great danger to the educational industry when it comes to critical thinking, analysis skills, and also, of course, that obvious practical usage of it causing instances of plagiarizing in our courses. What we did as our stance with the Forbes School of Business and Technology, our stance was at first observe, then learn, and see how we can successfully apply this new technology and take advantage of it and help our students successfully use it. Because I guess one of the main things that we have to remember is students will use it. They will use it. A general public will use it. Industry leaders will use it. So as a matter of fact, anyone that is under this assumption, living in a bubble where, oh, if we just ban it, it's not going to be used.
Right.
That is crazy, because I'm seeing it more and more. So think about it. November 2022, you and I are talking May 1st, 2023.
Right.
I went from only hearing about it to actually heavily looking into it, doing research into it, and also understanding its benefits and its potential in the world of education in particular, but other industries as well.
There's a lot to unpack here in terms of technology and the potential for the students to basically use it to cheat. You know, they're in taking away that opportunity for them to engage in critical thinking and learning by engaging in critical thinking about the questions and so forth, and just going to Chat GPT, typing in a question, waiting for the answer to pop up, and then just giving us the answer that way. I liked what you had to say about bringing the human element back into technology. And since there's really no way that we're going to be able to ban Chat GPT, so we might as well learn to live with it and bring the human element back into that. What might that look like? And how can we learn to live with this and having this help us rather than be scared of it and try to ban it?
I can only speak for now as to what we're trying to do. We're having this whole movement. First, we formed a committee of educators and staff members and faculty and administrators that are actually, first and foremost, they were looking into it, trying to use it themselves and trying to figure it out. And also making sure that we have plenty of data, first and foremost, to our faculty as they start seeing it in their courses. And then the key is, and I talked to a very prominent researcher, primarily in the field of HR, David Ulrich, who was actually, and he did tell me it's not necessarily his concept, but he said that he used it, intellectual laziness. Our biggest fear as human beings is that we're going to inspire this concept of intellectual laziness. For example, I don't necessarily worry about our generation. Our generation learned how to write essays. Our generation learned how to do research in the old school libraries. But my fear was maybe for the generation of my daughter, will there be any need to write books? Will there be any need to write essays, to write, you know? But the answer is always there will be one, because of the fact that this is actually an artificial intelligence. This is actually replicating human response, but it's not actually replacing a human response. So the way I started using it in order to practice is you can use it as a beginning prompt. For example, you're having to do a lecture, you're preparing a lesson plan. Us educators, I mean, several years ago, I mean, it would take me, I don't know, a few weeks to prep the lesson plan, especially if it was face-to-face classroom. My university were fully online, but even for the online classroom, you have to have discussion prompts, you have to have a follow-up questions. But now what you end up being able to do is you can actually prep all that rather quickly. Course development. Okay, so I'm building a course, business ethics. What are, you know, foundation of business ethics, like a beginning course? What are some of the topics that I have to cover? That is not saying that Chat GPT is giving me all the answers. On the contrary, it's just giving me the outline of things to cover. Let's say I'm negotiating my salary. What are some of the things that I should tell my employer? Now, am I going to read that? No. But it's going to give me, it's going to inspire me to ask some good questions. So I started talking to our students. And for example, if you have an essay prompt, if you're just plugging your essay prompt and then you end up copying and pasting it, well, of course, that's plagiarizing. But if you're saying I'm writing an essay on XYZ, what are some of the main things that I should touch upon? This is a good usage of the Chat GPT. Same thing with in all different industries. I was approached by dental college in the Gulf region, Middle East, and actually they were doing a lot of testing in the dental industry, and they asked me to contribute to their article that is pending publishing from a business perspective. Because there is a business usage, there is a medical usage, and you know, of course, when it comes to the medical profession, dental profession, it is even more important for it to be just the beginning stage of their research. Because yet again, the data is outdated, and you cannot prescribe something based on the Chat GPT. But you can ask a prompt: what are the most frequently prescribed drugs for type A diabetes? What is more effective when it comes to XYZ procedure? Another thing is industry leaders, employers are immediately thinking in terms of shortcuts. What can we streamline in order to be more effective? On the other side of that spectrum, you have employees saying, is my job becoming obsolete? 100 years ago, I was in the financial industry. I was in the world of mortgages, and I actually was handling, at one point of time of my career, at the beginning, I was handling customers' complaints. Every single complaint was incredibly different, but they were certain themes. So just for the fun of it, I put back my old mortgage processor head on. I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me several different replies if the customer's appraisal came in below the market, his or her projected market value. What do I tell that customer? I'm not trying to be funny. I almost teared up because it gave me like 7, 8 elaborate, wonderful, customer-friendly emails that, I mean, you know, you're still going to get angry customers eventually. But I felt that some of the verbiage of those emails could have diffused a lot of questions they may have and prevent them from being too upset in that upsetting situation. My son is in the logistics industry, and I was actually showing him some prompts because he does have frequently asked questions from customers. And he does have frequent challenges the truck drivers are facing. So it's not one size fits all, because you still have to use the customized approach, but the paragraphs are written for my son, and then he can plug in a few specifics.
This is great. I love your comment. Use Chat GPT as a starting point, not the complete answer. And I think a lot of times where you have a really good customer service response or something, the language is just right or whatever, and maybe you can use that over again for a similar situation and then update it with that particular customer response problem or something. Those are good examples of how to use Chat GPT. And the point with technology is always, are we innovating ourselves out of a job, and is more technology that's going to, take away more people's jobs, like our fear, with robots, all robots are going to be doing our jobs, 50 or 100 years from now, nobody will have a job. The idea that every time we bring in more technology, we're supposed to get more productive. I mean, we're supposed to be more streamlined and more productive. It kind of raises the bar of like, okay, well, geez, how much can we get done in a day? Just, going from the typewriter to the word processor, that raised the bar.
My friend is in between jobs, and an potential employer was asking her not just for her resume, but also her bio. For some reason, we catch ourselves being able to talk so much about other people, but then when someone asks us, tell us a little bit about yourself, you start freezing for some reason. So I actually introduced her to ChatGPT. She wasn't using it. And I said, literally, tell ChatGPT the basic things that you've done in life and who you are. Yeah. And it produced a very elaborate bio, which was truly very similar to what I would define her as far as career-wise. Of course, ChatGPT's artificial intelligence is not going to give you the flavor of who my friend is as a human being, as a mother, as a wife. Right. But for the potential employer, gave her what she needed.
And like you said, we're at the very beginning stages of this, and how Chat GPT will evolve and how we'll be using it in the future.
Absolutely. And it's not peer reviewed. And that's one of the things when I was working with the dental college in Oman, one of the things that I posted as we were chatting about the upcoming article, one of the things that will absolutely, there's no danger is going to replace academic research. It's not going to be peer reviewed. It's going to spit out whatever. It's basically taking all the data that is out there. Also, it's going to have to catch up on the current status of affairs, because there's we had a Center for Women's Leadership event on the World Health Day. So I was like, well, hey, give me a LinkedIn post, appropriate LinkedIn post, celebrating World Health Day. All the data was 2021 and prior. Right. So what I ended up doing an old school research online. Yep. It's not really old school, because yet again, it was online.
It was online. Yeah.
But I needed to replace the data with some current info. Those are the type of things, but that is something, the more we use it, the better it's going to become. You will decide, I will decide, each one of us in our professions will decide, this is what it can be used for versus not. By the way, for the educators, because I assume a lot of your audience members are educators, do not trust any company right now that is saying that they have 100% accurate way of detecting instances of plagiarizing, because we've just determined that is not the case. They're false positives, false negatives. You still have to do a traditional approach of looking at that paper and trying to figure out what is being flagged, because you will end up accusing students that have not used it at all, or on the other side of that spectrum, and students are getting smarter about it. As a dean, I tell my faculty, if your student, and I'm not trying to be funny, if your student is all of a sudden sounding like a Shakespeare and they have not week one, red flag. Another red flag is you have a very simple discussion prompt, and all of a sudden here is a student giving you 17
That's
points.
Right.
What point? 1 point. Listen, when we work with adult students, working students, for the 17 points elaborate discussion reply, one would have to spend 5-6 hours. That's not going to happen. Those are the things that are like, there are certain things that you can already figure out. It's very repetitive.
Yes.
And it does a lot in lieu of summary. And the summary itself is a bit robotic. And you can tell the difference between us speaking versus the ChatGPT speaking. Usually does something in closing, in summary, and then it basically repeats the first paragraph. So I said to my instructors, rely on that even more so than necessarily red flags and some sort of a plagiarizing detection software.
Right. It'll look a little more robotic and formulatic too, because it restates in the conclusion what it said in the beginning. Dr. Zelihic, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about Chat GPT. Please remember to hit subscribe, like, and share this video with other students, and remember to keep learning.